Good day, grade 8. Today we will look at the cash payments journal. Please make sure that you have your new era accounting textbook as well as your exercise book on hand. Make sure you have your pencil and your eraser as well as a calculator, and don't forget you need to know all about source documents, and you must remember what you've learned in the cash receipts journal. So what is a cash payments journal? It is a book that we use to record all the money that the business pays out. So like we did with the cash receipts, we recorded all the money that the business received. Now with the cash payments journal, every cent that we spend needs to be recorded. The cash payments journal shows us how our bank account is decreasing. So what source documents would you need for the CPJ? Firstly, you need a check counterfoil. Remember that we make payments by check. We meaning the business. We also need to have our bank statements on hand because our bank statements show us all the online transactions that we perform. Okay, before we start a cash payments journal, you need to make sure that you read the task carefully. So in your books right now, you're going to be turning to page 62 in your new era textbook, task 4.6. I want you to read what is required of you in the task. On page 62, it says required. Record the following transactions in the cash payments journal of CG Repairs for April 2000.2. Provide the following columns in the cash payments journal. They are already opened in your exercise book. So in your exercise book, you are going to turn to task 4.6 and get ready with your pencil so that you can enter the transactions. Okay, then you're going to read one transaction and then enter that transaction in your cash payments journal. The third thing you need to remember is that all check numbers must be in chronological order, meaning that the numbers must follow each other. So you can't have number 10 and then jump to number 17. After number 10 comes number 11, then 12, then 13. Okay, let's see how this is done practically. So, if you look at the top of the page, we see that the cash payments journal, we are doing the cash payments journal of CG Plumbers for April 2002. Our first column is document. That is to display the source document. The next column is day, so that we can know on which day the transaction took place. Then we have a column for details, telling us who we are paying. Then we have a column for bank, showing us how much money is leaving the bank. Then we have a column for wages, telling us how much wages we are paying on a particular day. Then we have consumable stores, petrol, and sundry accounts for all other accounts that we do not have a column for. Our first transaction is on the 1st of April. If you read from page 62, transaction 1, it tells us that we bought consumable stores from Macro for 450 Rand and we paid with check 122. So our document number is C122, showing us that this was check counterfoil 122. This transaction occurred on the 1st. Our details, or who we are paying, would be Macro. We paid Macro 450 Rand, so 450 will decrease from the bank. We bought consumable stores, and we have a column for consumable stores, therefore we enter the 450 into the consumable stores column. The next transaction is on the 3rd. On the 3rd, it tells us that we filled the delivery vehicle with petrol at Engen for 620 Rand, and we paid by debit card. So that information we will find on our bank statement. So our source document is bank statement. The transaction occurred on the 3rd of April 2000.2. We were paying Engen. Therefore, Engen is written in the details. The money that left our bank was 620 Rand. And what did we buy? Yes, we bought petrol. So we do have a column for petrol. Therefore, petrol is written, 620 is written in the petrol column. The next item or items that we bought was on the 4th of April. We bought the following from Baxter Stores and paid by check. We bought consumable stores for 315 and stationery for 185. So our source document is check counterfoil 123. Now they did not tell us what number was the check, but we know that our checks are written in chronological order. So our first check was 122, so it stands to reason that our next check would be 123. The transaction occurred on the 4th of April 2002. We bought from Baxter Stores, therefore we write Baxter Stores in our details column. We spent 500 Rand. How do we know this? Because they tell us that we bought consumable stores for 315. We then bought stationery for 185. As you know, there's no column for stationery. That's why we enter it into the details of sundry accounts, because we do not have a column for stationery. When we add 315 plus 185, we get a figure of 500 Rand. So we spent 500 Rand at Baxter Stores buying consumable stores and stationery. On the 7th, it tells us that we paid wages by electronic transfer. And as you know, our electronic transfers are done online. So our bank statement comes into play. Therefore, our source document is bank statement. This transaction occurred on the 7th of April 2000.2. We write cash. We paid, our electronic transfer was by cash because we do not know the name of the person or people that we are paying wages to. So we write cash in the details column. We paid wages to the amount of 3,200 Rand. So 3,200 Rand is decreasing our bank account. And we then have wages. In our wages column, we have 3,200. That's telling us that we paid for wages. On the 10th of April 2002, we have bought more petrol from Engen. It says fill the vehicles with petrol at Engen to the amount of 1,140 Rand and paid by debit card. So BS is in our source documents because we did not pay by check. We bought the petrol on the 10th. We paid Engen, that's why Engen is in our details column. And we gave them an amount of 1,140, which means that 1,140 decreases our bank and 1,140 is for petrol. Guess what, lads? You can complete the rest of the cash payment journal of task 4.6 on page 63 all on your own. Once it is complete, please send me a picture. I want to check your work. Okay, so once you've completed task 4.6, I want you to add up the money columns. Then I'm going to ask you to cross-add the sundry accounts, petrol, wages and consumable columns. Once you've added those columns up, it should equal your bank column. The total of your bank column should be equal to 33,425. Remember that your bank column in the CPJ means that your bank account is decreasing. Once you're done with 4.6, you follow your timetable and do these 3 tasks on the days that you were set to do it on your timetable. All the best and good luck.